Oh, well, hi there. How's it going?
What?
Oh my God.
Wow. So, we're here tonight to talk about the Challenge 38. We took a little break last week because of Thanksgiving. So we have two episomes to get into, two nights.
Because we were giving thanks.
We were giving thanks. We
all
were.
All the thanks. So thankful. So thankful to our friends who tune in
Very
weekly.
thankful. Yes, of course.
Thanks a lot.
Now we are coming to you. We are coming to you on Thursday, December 1st. That is right. We are in December. So let's do this thing.
Hold on.
Kyle, what did you want to say?
I only wanted to say that tonight is the eve of a very important birthday. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I'm not sure. I have another birthday to talk about tonight, but I don't think it's the same one. I don't know, though.
You do have another birthday to talk about. That's when we go down under.
No, there's another one.
Oh.
Lordy.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
You of all people to not know.
I'm so surprised.
Wow.
What's the birthday you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the birth of the one and only Miss Britney Spears.
Oh.
It's December 2nd. It is Britney Spears' birthday, so we are on the eve of the Queen's birth.
Are you having a party?
Wow.
Okay. There was discussion about having a party because Kyle and Tommy love to
throw Britney a birthday party
to celebrate Britney's birthday party. There was discussion about having this, and usually, we do a ham.
Mm-hmm.
I make my mac.
Literally, for anyone watching or listening, this is 100% true. This is a yearly event.
It's totally real.
No, yeah, it's absolutely true.
From people being angry they were not invited to Britney Spears' birthday. We do a ham, we do candied yams, we do mac and cheese, collard greens. We basically have Thanksgiving all over again. It's basically Friendsgiving for Britney Spears' birthday. And this year, now that I live with Tommy, because this is something that we did when we did not live together, when I lived alone. Now that we live together, we are not agreeing on the menu. And no one spoke about it again. He said that he wanted to have Britney Spears' birthday. And I said, yes, I am totally on board. And he was like, I don't want to do everything we used to do, though. I want to do just burgers and hot dogs. And I was like, bro, I'm not doing burgers and hot dogs in fucking December. Like, I'm not doing that. And then we never discussed it again.
Wow.
So now we're just putting up the tree on Saturday. Like, that's it. That's the celebration. Like, that's it. Isn't that wild? That's wild. Yeah, but that's what tonight is. Tonight is December 1st, but it's also the eve of the Lady Spears' birth.
Wow. It's big. That's big. It's very big.
It's super big. Okay? It's super big. Okay?
But anyway, my name is John Dunphy.
Oh my God, we haven't even done that yet.
Yeah, I am joined, as always, by my ride or dies, Mr. Kyle Petty and Miss Gina Morgino. So we are here. We are here to discuss the Challenge 38 Ride or Dies episodes 7 and 8. I'm very excited to get into this. If you guys want to find us on the socials, you can do so at StratChatPod or go to our website, www.stratchatpod.com.
We're there.
Okay. Now, I gotta tell you, I really, really enjoyed these two episodes.
Did you now?
I did. We picked up with Anissa and Jordan, right? They had just sent out Laurel and Jack. So Jordan, he was pissed off. He's been treated, he feels he's been treated very badly by Jay. Jay knows that people are pissed off at him, that they're coming for him. But the most interesting thing to me that kicked off this episode was Devin's little super secret meeting with Tori. They had gone back to the house, and Devin asked for this meeting, and Devin tells Tori he wants to re-up this deal that they've had with Jay and Michelle. That they've kind of sort of been working together, but making these very small deals for like a week, 2 weeks, whatever. Now Tori is not into this. She's been letting Devin run all the politics, right, on this season, but she does not want to go against or continue to go against her friends. And she kind of says that we have to show the people that we have relationships with, these other vets, that we're riding with them, that we're loyal with them. So what did you think of this whole thing? Did you have any opinions on this? What do you think of Devin's gameplay, by the way? He seems to be very aggressive this season. I feel like he's always stirred up trouble in the past, but this is a different situation, I think.
I have never been able to decide if I love him or hate him, and he's really irking me a lot this season. I don't know. I'm always so on the fence. From literally episode to episode, I'm like, do I hate you or do I think you're like a great player? I don't know. I can't decide.
Interesting.
No, that is interesting because you're newer, to this.
Right.
To
I
this
only know him. I've only known him for
universe.
3 seasons?
Right. And but I kind of agree with you though. I still can't decide where I land with Devin. I feel like the show is pushing him to be the next Bananas. And that's why I reject him for that reason. But I do sort of see it. I get what you're saying here. He does like to rabble rouse and all these things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wondered why Devin stays in these games as long as he does. And I part of me wonders if this season is almost offering us some context around that. We're seeing that he makes these these daily deals with people, oh, this is just good for 24 hours, and then after that go fuck off. I wonder if that's how he always plays, and that's why he flies under the radar and we don't see much of him. Because John, what do you think? Don't we only really see a lot of rumblings of Devin once we get to that midway point? I feel like that's when people start talking about Devin.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's because he makes these janky ass one-day deals with people that kind of get him that far, and then it's well, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was just something that we hadn't seen more in the past, because now it's a different type of season. I feel like he's teamed up with Tori, so them as a duo are more interesting to me than just Devin by himself, trying to work his way through the game.
Absolutely.
Which is so maybe we're just seeing more of his gameplay now. But I mean, I know it's just what Gina said about how she goes back and forth with him. I know that when I first saw Devin, I hated him. him.
Me too.
Yeah, and as the seasons have gone on, I've really started to just like him more and more. And I'm still there. He still does things that I'm like, you're such a dick. But I've come a long way with Devin. I've come a long way with him.
Tickle about his ass hattery and his dickery. I kind of like it now. Just like I like Bananas and his crap.
Right.
Yeah.
What's funny too is that I love Tori, and there's a good chance that I might have picked her as my winner pick if she wasn't teamed up with Devin. But I still am not fully on board with Devin, so that's why I didn't pick them. But I would have loved to have Tori as my winner pick.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
I get it. I do get it.
Oh boy! But so, just a couple of really quick things before we get into our daily challenge that I wanted to bring up. One thing that I thought was interesting was the talk that Amber and Nelson had in the house. Amber kind of talking to Nelson about how much she appreciates that he's always sort of had her back, and he was one of the few vets that ever really kind of accepted her. Nelson, and she also mentions Darrell being a real mentor to her. That will be important for later on.
Sure will.
And then Yeah, and then out, they all went out for some day drinking then at a little bar. And this was another interesting conversation where Johnny and Darrell talked. And Bananas was trying to make sure that Darrell was with the vets on their side. But Darrell and Veronica, ever since they got in the house, have been sort of like this scapegoat target that people just find easy to put in. So they want to keep their options open and don't want to choose any sides. And I just thought that was interesting for what happens in the rest of this episode, too. So
sure it is, yeah.
Yep.
But that's all that I had that I like really made note of before the daily challenge. Was there anything else that you guys saw, or do you want to get into this this challenge?
Definitely
Yeah,
not. Please don't
nothing
highlight
from
the fact
before
that we
that,
don't remember. Please don't highlight the fact that we don't remember that episode. We just watched last night. Don't put Gina and I in that position. Moving on. Thank you for notes. Yes. What else do you have to tell us?
Okay, all right. Well, the daily challenge this time was called Peaking Blinders, which we actually just saw in Australia, but it had the name Buddy Blinders.
Mm-hmm. You heard on Stretch Chat first. They had a different title. Same challenge, different title. You heard it here first.
I also love,
mark it down.
At first, I thought it was a coincidence, but these challenges really are like mirroring themselves. Like we'll see the same exact challenge in our challenge and Australia every week.
Yeah, no, it's no coinky dink.
I absolutely.
There
First time I was like, oh, what a fun little coincidence.
No. Production is lazy. We gotcha. Thank you to our VPN. We gotcha. Your laziness is on full display. And you heard it here first on Strat Chat.
So, this challenge was big on memory and cardio. So pairs would start at their board where they had to eventually solve a puzzle, but they would have to run a distance to get to this puzzle. One of the partners would have to stand on this small pole, very, very small, keep their balance as long as they could so that their partner on the other side could climb this ladder and see where these colors were in different shapes. And that was basically it. They had to run back and forth until they solved this puzzle. There were just a couple of people that stuck out to me in this challenge. One was Veronica and Darrell, just literally walking the entire time.
Yep, unbothered.
Queen bee.
Unbothered.
Right? But Nelson and Nerys were absolutely amazing. Devin and Tori also did really, really well. Mm-hmm. Nerys, I have to tell you, Nerys is a fucking queen. I love Nerys. I have really, really started to like her. But basically,
Is she someone that we know, or is she just Nelson's person? Like, I don't remember if we've seen her before.
I think Kyle, didn't you say you knew Nerys from something else? Yeah.
I know Nerys from X on the Beach.
Right.
Which is completely unrelated in this forum of things, right? Really, really not relevant.
Yeah.
She's just not unfamiliar to me. That's all.
Gotcha.
But she was in a totally different world, dating and such.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I've really, really grown to love Nerys. So, and like what's funny to me about it,
she is there to compete. All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We stand Nerys.
It's funny too because Nerys is the one that she was hooking up with Johnny Middlebrooks in the beginning of the game, right? Wasn't that the two that were hooking up?
Johnny Middlebrooks. Now, I don't know his legal government name. Johnny is Johnny of Johnny and Raven.
Johnny and Raven, yeah. Also from All Star Shore.
Mm-hmm.
You want to throw that in? I want to shade you for it, but I do love All Star Shore. I just haven't finished.
Yeah. Gina's
over here sighing all big. You don't have to finish it. Like John and I can finish it. We'll wrap it up on our own. But like All Star Shore is so fun and it's so great.
It is. It really is fun. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
And the show knows that it's stupid.
Right.
Like it mocks itself.
It's not great. Right. I mean, the narrator is
Pauly D. Sure.
Yeah, the narrator is Pauly D. That tells you everything you need to know.
Okay.
Right. This show is based on silliness, but it's a good time. But yes, Johnny is in there, and Johnny is also, obviously was on this season of the challenge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But basically in this challenge, Nelson and Nerys pretty much, they blew everybody else out of the water. The only other team that was close was Devin and Tori. But so now, after going 54 daily challenges without a win, Nelson has his second of the season, which clearly shows that Nerys is the powerhouse of the team, and that is probably the only reason he's actually winning these daily challenges.
It's so funny too because
Nelson's seventh.
What's that?
Isn't this Nelson's 7th? This is like his 7th season.
I mean, I honestly don't remember the exact number, but
and he got
it's been a while.
2 of his challenge wins with Nerys. That's all. I just want that to be noted.
No, it was so funny because like
the argument for her to be a queen. That's all.
I don't remember anything specifically that was like worth noting from before the daily challenge, but I remember thinking to myself like, Nelson just really irritates me. He has such an ego for someone who literally never wins anything, and then immediately won the daily challenge. And I was like, okay.
Oh man.
Here's the thing about Nelson, though. Just to give a little defense around him, like he may not have had.
Y'all know him longer than me, so
right. No, I just want to play devil's advocate for a hot second.
Yeah.
You know, while Nelson may not have had any challenge wins, he has made it to some finals, right? At least, and if he didn't make it to a final, he made it really, really close. Like Nelson has gotten to some end games, you know, so like he's not to be sneezed upon or sneered upon or, you know, disregarded. Like Nelson is really, really somebody. He just hasn't won things. That's all. And like there are so many quantifiers in the challenge universe, like how many comp wins you have, how many elimination wins you have, how many times you win this game. And it's like, okay, those are all like valid things. When you're talking about people who return to this game, we have to have conversations about other things. Like we have to talk about how far have you made it in this game? Because if you're a returnee that always goes out like super, super early, like well, that doesn't mean anything. And this is not a world like Big Brother. We can talk about pre-merge and like, well, pre-merge, that's really Survivor. Or pre-jury. When you talk about Big Brother, like we don't have that quantifier in the challenge world. So like if you've made it to a final, I feel like that does quantify you a little bit in terms of having some esteem. And Nelson has, so like, you know, the show kind of wants to paint him as if like he is like a non-contributor to the environment, and like that's really like not so. Like you know,
he obviously plays a great social game because he's got connections with all the vets, but he also is accepted by all the rookies. And like you said, he may not win a ton of daily challenges, but he has won some eliminations, and we've seen seasons in the past where. You know, where you do go into elimination immediately if you come in last place. We have had, that's not like a new thing from the Challenge USA or the Challenge Australia. So, you know, it says something that, like, you know, in some of these challenges, maybe he didn't win a lot of them, but he also wasn't coming in last place. So he was still performing better than some of these other challengers. But so after this daily challenge, though, we go back to the house. Interesting conversation, I thought, between Nelson, Jay, and Devin. Devin's really, you know, it's. I love to see vets taking shots at vets and not just a steamroll of vets taking out rookies. But it's interesting to me to see, you know, Devin really trying to get Nelson to put Bananas in. Really wants to see Bananas and Nani not only, you know, chosen for interrogation, but being the automatic vote to go straight to elimination. So it's cool. And you know, Jay's been so disrespected on this show in the past that I kind of like to see him teaming up with some of these other vets who might have thrown him in the past, and they're like making shots together because I like Jay. I really do.
Me too.
But so Nelson and Nerys end up in deliberation. They choose for interrogation Banani, Amber and Chauncey, Darrell and Veronica, and Anissa and Jordan. And the vets immediately, when they see this, are suspicious. They want to know why do Tori and Devin always somehow avoid, you know, they just avoid elimination.
It's a wonderful observation. It's a wonderful observation. This goes back to the previous conversation and like Devin and his daily deals.
And you know, another question here, Nani brings up, and this isn't the first time we've heard this. Nani questions how Fessy continues to manage to stay out of elimination with Nelson being in power, because we saw Nelson get screwed over by Fessy. Fessy chose to put himself in elimination against Nelson in a challenge that Nelson's not going to beat Fessy in a hall brawl. So, and that was the season where you had to earn a skull in order to run the final. So, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And we see Nelson and Fessy talk about this a little bit. What do you got?
Comment.
Listen. I don't want to be colored as a Fessy fan. All right, I'm not a diehard. I'm not a whatever. I like to be a rabble rouser. However, like, there's so many things to say about that. Like, why couldn't Nelson beat Fessy?
Because he's a tank.
Right, but like, what about Nelson isn't?
I feel like there are
Nelson
so few
versus Fessy. I feel like that's a pretty fair matchup. Like, Nelson's no punk. Like, I feel like it's really Nelson's hurt feelings is the reason why he didn't perform the way that he should have in that moment. Like, Nelson is not a non-performer. Like, let's not. Like,
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I'm just not ready to say that Fessy is above Nelson. I feel like they're pretty evenly matched. Like,
I think so.
Okay.
I think specifically in a hall brawl, though, Fessy has a big advantage, and it's not even a knock on.
Why?
That's not even a knock on Nelson, though. I don't think that many people could beat Fessy in a hall brawl, other than somebody like a CT or someone like that.
Build, and it's the way that he knows it. Like, he was a football player.
He was a football player. He's been out on the field tackling people.
Right, but look at Nelson and like the way that he's stacked and everything is like, are we really going to say that Nelson's not on Fessy's level? Is that what we're saying?
I think specifically in a hall brawl type thing. I think there are other types of eliminations or challenges, but I just think that Fessy is on another level physically. I think that he would be stronger than Nelson.
No, I'm just a little surprised. Like, I am a Fessy fan. Listen. She will toot her horn. Fessy did retweet her. Okay, she did. And like, because I like Fessy, but like Nelson's not on the same page. I don't.
Listen, there's a lot of challenges where I think they are on par. But I think in a hall brawl, I just think that Fessy has a big advantage over Nelson and a lot of other people, too. So this moves us into the interrogation now. Now, the most interesting thing to me here was the Darrell and Veronica interrogation, where Nelson promised them that they would not be competing in this elimination. That they might have said their names, they might be going down to the zone, but there's no way they're going to be in the elimination. With Anissa and Jordan here, Nelson said that he had to pick a side between Jay and Jordan, and it looks like he picked Jay, right? So that was interesting to me. But
wait, so Nelson picked Jay in this moment?
That's kind of what Nelson said. He had said that a line was drawn between Jordan and Jay, and Jay had to pick a side. And by saying Jordan's name and not Jay's name, it's clear which side he picked, right? To me, anyway.
Yeah, I guess so. It's hard to remember because so much has happened, and then you watch Challenge Australia, you don't really remember what's going on. So I do feel like you're giving me news. So okay, yeah, all right.
All these interrogations were pretty good in my opinion. Next, Amber and Chauncey. Amber was very hurt that she was blindsided, and this is part of the reason why I wanted to note that conversation that Amber and Nelson had earlier in the episode, because Amber had talked with Nelson about how she always appreciated Nelson and how he had her back and all that. And here she felt she was blindsided. And in this conversation, Amber turned to Chauncey and said, "Who do I always say is in my top 4? Nelson and Nerys." And Nelson says, in response, says, "Yeah, but you have to understand, I also have a top 4 and you're not in it."
It was so uncomfy to watch. I was like, I hate this. This is terrible.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's what also makes the challenge so beautiful, is because these people know each other outside of here. It's like, this story continues. We're not done. We're not done.
Right.
When you watch Big Brother, it's like, okay, these people just never speak to each other again. These people will.
Right.
Because they have been. We're not done. We're not done. This story is still. What does Natasha Bedingfield say? Still unwritten.
The rest is still unwritten.
Yes, and we're waiting with bated breath.
Yeah. Now, the last team that went into interrogation was Banani. They felt they felt like they were a little pissed off because they had power and didn't say Nelson and Narice's name. But, Bananas says he gets it. It's a game. He's making a big move. But Nani was very pissed about this. And Nelson, throughout the episode, kind of said that he did not want to have to put Nani in. But he was being pressured by Devin and by Jay to put Bananas in specifically. And Nani just kind of, paid the price for that, unfortunately. But Nani said that she will not forget this. She will not. She will not.
She won't. No.
Yeah. And that's why I love these ride or die pairs, too, because, you have people in there that you don't want to put in, but they're attached to somebody that everybody else wants to see in. So just by collateral damage, that person ends up going in. I really loved all these interrogations. Now, the only thing I'll bring up from the club night was just the drama, right? Amber continuing to talk about, Devin kind of running the house. And, Nelson hears this, talks to Amber about it. Devin kind of blows up about it. But I felt bad for Amber in this moment because she's definitely not the only one talking about Devin kind of being a snake, doing, making deals, being sneaky. But she seems to be taking the brunt of all of it.
I feel like we had seen confessionals of the entire cast saying the same thing earlier in the episode. And Amber's the only one kind of falling on the sword for it.
Right. And it continued when they got back to the house because then like a shouting match came out between Devin and Michelle, where the whole house kind of was like an audience to it. And you could see Tori was very uncomfortable with all of this. I know she loves Devin and they're tight in the game and out of the game, but Devin's really been doing all the politicking for this. And I feel like Tori's not necessarily on board with everything that he's doing, but is kind of just doesn't necessarily feel like she has a choice, maybe.
Bless you.
God bless. God bless. But yeah, let's go to the zone, huh? You want to go to the zone for a nice elimination here?
Yeah, let's get in the zone.
So we get in there, and Nelson and Narice, they choose Amber and Chauncey to go straight to elimination. Immediately, Jay and Devin are pissed about this because, like, you had the choice, right? You had choices to take out such big shots, right? Like, you could have gone after Bananas, you could have gone after Jordan. I know they didn't really want to choose Darrell, but those choices between Bananas and Jordan are big shots. But they ended up going with Amber and Chauncey, and of course Darrell is pissed now because Amber and Chauncey were one of the teams that were supposed to save them in the draw, and now they don't have them, which means that the chances for Darrell and Veronica to be safe have just dropped dramatically. And we go to the dagger draw. Banani immediately pull the safe dagger immediately, and of course,
again
they choose. Yeah, was this the second time in a row? Or I know they pulled it twice. I can't remember if it was the second.
It was their second. It was their second time in a row, but I don't know if it was the second episode in a row.
Okay. Yeah, they save Anissa and Jordan. So that promise
Kyle,
that
I have
Nelson
a comment
made
for you later.
The face of comment last week. I'm just saying, it's just coming to full fruition.
And I have a comment on your comment later, but we'll get there.
The seeds I planted are bearing fruit. That's all.
We'll get there.
Now, so that promise that Nelson had made to Darrell and Veronica that they were definitely not going in, total crap, because they're going in. They're going to face Amber and Chauncey in elimination. And I loved this elimination, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Me too.
It was a really good one.
Let's do it.
Right? I pulled up a picture just because I loved the way that this looked. Hold on now.
Like, I want to play this.
Right? Like, this just looked so... Look at this like, tower here. This was called Deep Web, and you can see in each tower that there's, like, these little nets or whatever, kind of like these bungee cords that are all tight. And, players had to squeeze through those things. I love this.
We're looking from the bottom up.
Yes, the bottom up. That's correct. So let's break it down, friends.
Right? Let's break it down. Let's get into it. Let's chat about it.
So the partners would start at the top of these towers, and one by one, they had to drop down through these nets, these webs, go all the way to the bottom, take one puzzle piece, and then work their way all the way back to the top. And there were 8 puzzle pieces total, so each partner would have to go down, and then back up 4 different times. Amber and Chauncey took an early lead. I got to tell you, Amber was like great in this first part anyway.
Flying through that thing, yeah.
Yeah, she flew through it. Veronica was having a little bit more of a difficult time. But Darrell was definitely, helped them make up some time. And really, we know with these puzzles, it really always comes down to the puzzle. So while Amber and Chauncey got their 8 pieces first, it really was a good battle at the end, and they kept making note of like all the challengers, all the players, and TJ. You can see him. It took a very long time, it seems.
I don't remember who it was. Someone was like, I don't know if it's been an hour or 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. Right.
But it turns out that Amber and Chauncey take the win. So very, very, very sad though to see Darrell and Veronica eliminated from the game. I feel
Kyle,
like
you are really committing to these pantomimes today, huh?
Yeah.
I have so many more pantomimes.
You really do. I'm
exhausted.
We also need to speed this up a little bit because we were supposed to start Down Under in 20 minutes, and we have a whole other episode to get through. So
I'm sorry. Let's go. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but I have to do it. I can't.
So I feel bad for Darrell and Veronica though, because they were scapegoats from the beginning. They were constantly being thrown in. I do think that some of it is on them. I mean, Bananas especially was trying to reach out to Darrell. They didn't want to pick a side, Darrell and Veronica. And they end up going, it just sucks for them though, because Nelson promises them, right? You're not going into elimination at all.
Yeah.
And then they end up not only going into elimination, but getting eliminated. And Amber felt terrible because Darrell's a mentor of hers. But
yeah, but let's be honest, like they weren't long for this world. Like Veronica couldn't make it to a final during All Stars. And All Stars is a considerably less intense game. Like she didn't have a chance in this. I'm sorry, Darrell. Yeah. Thank you for showing up to main stage challenge. We'll see you again in All Stars, and we'll see you again in the main stage. But like, this wasn't your season. That's all.
Yeah.
But like, thanks for showing up and remaining relevant. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Bye bye.
This was basically the worst possible result for Nelson here. But that's basically it for that episode. So we can move now into episode 8. This is normally where I would
speed version.
Yeah, this is normally where I would. This is normally where I would talk TJ's threads, but we don't have time for that tonight. So maybe we'll do we'll do a whole lot. Maybe we'll do a bunch of his outfits, next time.
We'll do it in the Australia stream, and then we'll share a clip because the Australians, they watch ours. They know that's why they're watching because they already know what's going on. Yeah, we'll share it during theirs. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get just later. Okay. Just later. We'll share it in the socials. Strat Chat Pod. Okay. Find us at Strat Chat Pod, and you'll find the clip because Gina's gonna pull it. Everyone has a job. Thank you.
Yes. So let's get into episode 8 here. So we start off Amber and Michelle celebrating Amber's elimination win back at the house, which is so weird to me because Jay does not really like Amber. So to see Michelle being so close with Amber and like celebrating this is just very funny to me. But really, the first thing we really have to talk about that's most important about this episode was that Lordy, Bananas turns 40. Nani threw a birthday party for Johnny Bananas. I can't believe you didn't remember this, Kyle.
Like, Sir Nanas of all people has a birthday, and Kyle forgot.
I didn't forget. I don't think it should be mentioned, okay? Because by mentioning his birthday, you'll also start bringing up his whole rap sheet, We're now mentioning everything that he's done right. And I cannot understand why Nani, all right, this is Nani's 12th season. She's won none. And this makes it very clear why not. Because why would you highlight all of the many times this man has won when you are partnered with him? The thing about this is that anybody who's not an idiot who is playing this game already knows how many times Bananas has won. So why would you put an extra spotlight on all of that? I think Nani doing this is the most juvenile, very stupid thing I have ever seen in my life. It just so very much you want to put a spotlight on Banana's birthday, you're putting a spotlight on the fact that you don't even understand how this game is played. How do you not understand that you are painting the most beautiful target, not even on your back, right on your chest? For doing something like this, I am partnered up with the person who has won this game the most. Yay! Like, what's what's wrong with you? Like, everything about this was irritating, and it made me like Nani even less. Because, like, I love Nani, but this was a big blow to my love for her. Because now you're doing damage to Banana's game, and I can't have that.
Yeah,
I can't have it.
And not only did she highlight the wins, but she literally highlighted the exact total amount of money he's won in this game, which is over $1.1 million. So,
which is also a maudlin number when you think about what these games are worth now. Okay, so don't be hating on my man. Like, he still has 7 wins. Just because y'all wasn't paying him for them before, doesn't mean he doesn't have them. Okay, so don't. Let's put that out there.
So let's get into this daily challenge. I loved this one. Double Trouble. There was a lot of good competitions in these 2 episodes, but Double Trouble, you had to start off. One partner was on a moving truck. The other partner was at the front of these line of 5 cars. Okay. So now the partner that was on the moving truck had to now jump from the truck to the back of this first car. And then they had to make their way up these moving cars that looked like they were moving pretty damn fast to the front car where their partner would be handing them keys. They had to collect 4 keys and then they had to take the keys from the front car to the back car one at a time. So they were making trips back and forth. Once they got them to that back car, they would then have to pull this lever that would lock in their time. And whoever does it the fastest wins. So Horacio and Olivia, I thought, did really well in this. Jay and Michelle did really well. Some people dropped their keys, but it came down to it. The top 3 teams were Banani, Jay and Michelle, and Jordan and Anissa, which Jordan just continues to be an absolute beast.
He was running so back and forth over these cars like he was just running on the ground.
Yes.
What is happening?
Yeah. Yes. Just ain't no thing but a chicken wing.
And Jordan and Anissa get the win. And
yes,
Jordan wins stuff all the time. Like, he's such a great competitor. But for whatever reason, I was just very happy for Jordan and Anissa to get this win. I don't know why, but this in particular. But when they took this one, I was very, very excited and happy for them.
Me too.
And my immediate thought was Jay must be fucking nervous right now.
Pissed, furious, hates it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the deliberation was pretty simple and straightforward. I thought they easy choice, right? Jay and Michelle. Nelson and Nerys, easy choice. They just put Jordan and Anissa in. Jay and Michelle have obviously put them in. Horacio and Olivia, they really seemed to, Anissa and Jordan really seemed to have a lot of respect for them, which they told them. And just kind of let them know that this is you're just kind of collateral damage here because you're attached to Jay and Michelle. And then they came down to choosing between Fessy and Mariah or Amber and Chauncey as their last choice for to go into interrogation. They ended up going with Fessy and Mariah. So, the interrogation, this wasn't all that interesting to me, honestly, because I feel like we kind of knew what was going to happen here, right? I mean, who else could Anissa and Jordan possibly pick? But Fessy was definitely pissed about being chosen at all for interrogation. Because Anissa apparently has a history of going up to him being, "Oh, I love you so much," and this and that. But I know Fessy and Nelson talked about this, "Oh, well, now it's easy, Fessy. If you want to take a shot at Anissa, you don't have to worry about it because she already took a shot at you." Any thoughts on this? The Fessy Anissa thing, him being so pissed about being chosen for elimination? I don't know.
Listen, I'm not Gina. I like Fessy. I like Fessy. I like when he's involved. The thing is, you have to nominate 4. Get over it. It's just the way it is. Yeah.
Right. You've gone this whole time not going in. The numbers are dwindling. You're going to go in.
You got to suck it up. You got to suck it up, bro. I'm sorry. Yeah. And you're not even really for sure going in. You're just in the mix,
Right.
You have to assume that's possible when we have to nominate 4. 4 is a lot. Four
yeah.
is always a lot, but 4 is especially more now because there's so few people left. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Right. You got to get over that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I totally agree.
Sorry. Man.
I just enjoyed the little drama that between like Amber and Michelle, where Amber tried to hug Michelle when she was chosen for interrogation, and Michelle like pushed her away. They made up pretty quick, it seemed, but like I don't know, it's just like a thing that I found funny. I also found it interesting because, of course, Nelson being in the draw now, being in, possibly in the mix for elimination, and then also Fessy and Olivia being in the mix, Nelson was immediately kind of like, putting it out there that he did not want to have to pull this dagger because he did not want to have to make the choice.
And this is where I need to bring things back to what Kyle was saying last week. And now, if you are not an Australian listener, what you missed is that Kyle was suspecting that maybe the dagger draw is not as randomized as it may seem and that things might be staged. And I made a mental note because you saw in the interrogation, Nelson and Nerys were both like, all I want is to not pick the safe dagger. I don't care what happens. I just don't want us to be the team that picks the safe dagger. And in my head, I said, well, obviously now they're going to pick it. Like they said it. And now, like, if there is staging involved, they are absolutely 1000% picking the safe dagger. And they did.
Because we're building a storyline. Like, I'm not saying I dislike it. You're on a TV show. I don't mind some manipulation. I honestly don't. But, like, you do have to leave some of it up to chance. And, like, that is what I like about the challenge. Because, like, I can totally acknowledge you manipulated this moment. But, like, how that elimination goes, that's a flip of the coin. Yeah. It can go any way. So, like...
It's definitely
except in this episode.
See, my thing is, I feel like if there was manipulation in this sort of thing, we would hear about it from somebody. And maybe they sign NDAs or whatever and you can't talk about it. But like the team, if going in who's going to pick the safe dagger, and I'm not one of those teams, you're possibly robbing me of the chance of winning $1 million right now.
Yeah, but also like on the flip side, it's like these people are employed by this show all the time. They're not going to breach a contract to possibly getting on a different season and getting that, whatever it's called.
Right, because they also know that if I keep this secret, I'll be cast again.
Right, and then you get that season stipend plus potentially any winnings.
Right, I want them to want me to be here. Right. So even if I end up making it to the final and I don't win, whatever, I know I'll be asked again because I kept a secret.
Sure.
This is a 35, 40. We don't know what these contracts are. It could be a $50,000 secret.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, John. I will keep it from you. If somebody gave me a draw 4 in Uno.
It's always Uno.
Yeah, it is always Uno because I think that's an equalizer for people on our level. You know what I mean? So like if somebody gave me $500 to not tell you that I had a draw 4, I'm sorry, I'm definitely fucking you over. You're gonna be drawing 4. I will be collecting the 500. I might buy you mozzarella sticks, but I will take that 500.
All right.
Yeah, well, that's all.
We'll never know. I could definitely see. I could definitely see it. What you're saying. I don't think that it's impossible. I just feel like I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say.
Yeah. I wish it wasn't so, but like I could see it. That's all. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But let's head back to the zone, shall we?
Yeah, we shall. We have less than 8 minutes left.
I know. No surprise here at all. Anissa and Jordan send Jay and Michelle straight into elimination. Yep. And then in our dagger pull, like we said, of course, Nelson and Nerys, they're the ones that pull the safe dagger. Now here we are. Nelson has to make this decision, and he chooses to save his friend over his lover, Fessy. Fessy is safe, which means Olivia and Horacio are going into elimination, and they'll be facing Jay and Michelle. it's just the whole thing's interesting. This was the time if you wanted to take a shot at Fessy that you could have done it, but at this point, and it's interesting too because Nelson had made a comment earlier in the episodes, kind of saying like, "I've always chosen my friends over myself in this game. Maybe in order to win, I really need to pick myself." And it feels like again he just picked his friend. So
yeah.
But yeah, this was a great elimination. Also, this is called Spun Out. So we saw these two giant wheels on these tracks. And along these tracks, there were, I think, 4 different stations that had puzzle pieces on them. And basically, you had one partner that was inside the wheel and another partner that was strapped outside the wheel, literally strapped to it, and would circle around and be upside down at times, depending on where the position of the wheel was. And they had to try to communicate together to get the puzzle pieces in the right order at the final station at the end of the track. Now, what was interesting about this whole challenge to me was that we see challenges or eliminations sometimes where the people that are spectating, they'll be yelling out, helping people, but it doesn't really have that big of an impact. And I feel like in this one, it really, really did because everybody
hated it. I hated it.
Well, yeah, both of you. What did you think of that? Of the yelling? Kyle, what did you think of that? And Gina, why didn't you like it? Real quick.
Kyle, go first.
Well, I liked it because I felt like we got to see the social end of things play out in a competition, which is not something we often get to see, especially coming from a Big Brother environment. Your comp wins are your comp wins, your social wins are your social wins. This is a very, very fun way of combining the two. Who we want socially to succeed, we're fucking them over otherwise.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. It really shows you too, like the gravity of some of your moves that you make, right? Because Jay and Michelle, they made some big moves. They pissed a lot of people off, and I don't necessarily know that they pissed off that many people because everybody up there, Devin was the only one that was. I kind of want Jay and Michelle to stay, but even he said that he wanted them to stay because he knew that their game would literally crumble around them when they got back to the house. Not because he wanted to see them come back and work with them, just that it would be chaos and it wouldn't be good for them. So they really, Jay and Michelle, their social game, the moves that they made when they had power is what did them in here. And like we said, the whole house was screaming to help Olivia and Horacio.
Right.
Jay got so pissed they could not hear each other, Jay and Michelle. And they couldn't communicate. Jay actually screamed up at one point, like, shut the fuck up. Like, but Olivia and Horacio won it. What's that?
Yeah. Well, Gina, I don't think like this. So tell us why.
Didn't.
Yeah. A contrarian opinion.
So listen, I didn't want Jay and Michelle to come back either. Like with them leaving was the thing that I wanted to happen. I didn't want them back in the house, but if the whole culmination of this episode is that you're trying to compete to earn your way back in, and the entire house is just handing the win to whoever they want to see come back, that is not fun to me. I have watched this whole journey to watch 2 teams duke it out and battle it out to see who can earn their way back in. I don't want to watch one team being given all the answers while the other team that just is not the more likable team is struggling, especially if it's a competition like this that is reliant on communication between the 2 people playing, and they could not communicate physically because they couldn't hear each other.
It's all part of the game, though. It really is all part of the game. Because this kind of stuff happens all the time, time.
And I've seen it happen before too. Hi.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen in other seasons, but I didn't like it then either.
Yeah. But anyway, Olivia and Horacio ends up winning. They take it, which means Jay and Michelle are gone. They are eliminated. More winner picks of mine are eliminated from the shows that we watch. And I think from here on out, I got to tell you, Jay and Michelle being gone, I'm rooting for Devin and Tori, I think, from here on out. And I think they got a real shot to win this season. So my winner picks are gone, but I do still have people to root for. So
yeah, Tori and Devin are definitely getting winners at it, for sure.
Yeah. So
I
think it's funny though in these 2 episodes we had one elimination between Nelson and Nerys, right? When they were in power, they chose the people. It was pretty much the worst possible outcome for them. And then we had here in this episode Jordan and Anissa in power, and it really couldn't have gone any better for them. 2 completely opposite results here. There's a couple of things to look forward to, right, for the next on. So Now, TJ says to all the challengers here that there's a big surprise coming at the next challenge, some kind of big twist. I'm excited to see what that's going to be. And the other thing that I thought was interesting is that it looks like there's some drama coming up between Tori and Jordan. From the next on, they were screaming at each other, and it was definitely them. It was not an editing thing.
No,
Tori and Jordan are going to get into it next episode. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And that's episodes 7 and 8 of the Challenge 38 Ride or Dies. So we got to go down under, guys. We only have a couple of minutes here. So
yeah.
Anybody else have anything at all about these episodes that they'd like to get in real quick before we head over to the other?
Good.
I am satisfied.
Okay. All right. Well, for our Challenge 38 friends that won't be joining us down under, thank you so much for watching. If you want to find us on the socials, you can do so at StratChatPod on Twitter and Instagram. You can also head over to our website, www.stratchatpod.com. We'll be back next week. Monday, we'll be talking Survivor, right? At 9:30 p.m. And then the following, and then Thursday, we'll be talking Challenge 38 again, episode 9, before we go down under at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you later.